Positioning is the most important part of writing your book. So why? Why would that be? Because positioning answers the crucial question that every reader asks. Why should I read this book? Now, let me give you a brief history of positioning. Positioning used to be about where the book literally went in the bookstore. And I'm not kidding at all. That's absolute truth. I know it sounds ridiculous, but it's true. And here's why. Because the only people who made books used to be big book publishers. So HarperCollins and Simon & Schuster and, the big companies, right? And they didn't sell books to readers. They sold books to bookstores and for 100 years. And so when the salesperson from HarperCollins had a cool book, then they would go to the salesperson, the buyer at Barnes & Noble, and they would say, hey, I've got this cool new book. The first question the buyer at Barnes & Noble asks, where in the bookstore does it go? Right? What position, basically. And so that's how it got called, that's how it came to be called positioning. But bookstores are relevant now, especially after coronavirus and lockdown. They're super irrelevant now. B&N may be out of business soon, right? But positioning is still ultra crucial because positioning is now about how the book fits into the reader's mind and their life, right? That's what you're talking about when you talk about positioning. So there's 3 basic questions to answer when you position your book. The first one, what do I want, right? For myself and my readers, what do I want from this book? Who has to read this book for that to happen? And why are they going to care? Really simple. We're going to walk through each section coming up. Now, you can think of positioning your book like building a stool. Objectives, reader, and idea are all each apart, right? And as you well know, stools don't stand up with 2 legs. They've got to have 3, right? So if anything's not working, your positioning doesn't work. Now, I'm going to tell you, as we go through positioning over the next hour and a half, 2 hours, positioning is not a linear process, right? So do not expect, like, this may be haphazard and all over the place, and that's okay. You may think you have your objectives locked down, and then you get to ID and you realize, no, that's not right at all, and you got to change your objectives. You can go back and forth quite a bit until you're done. That being said, you must finish your positioning before you start on your outline. Do not think you will work out your positioning in your outline. That is a terrible idea. You need to know exactly what your book is before you start deciding what goes in it. Make sense? All right. The last point on positioning. By its nature, positioning is about making decisions, right? So this means you are going to close the doors of potential and walk one path forward. Right now, you've got, some of you have 2 books in front of you, some of you have 10, right? You're going to write 1 book, at least at a time, okay? If you don't make decisions in positioning, your book cannot come into existence. You cannot hold on to 2 books at once. I would actually, some people say, well, I'm going to write 2 books at once. Okay, fine. I would highly recommend you don't do that. But even if you do, you still have to decide which of the 2 books, like this book is this and this book is this. You still got to commit to which book is which, right? The point is you've got to make decisions. Your job in positioning is to decide which book of many potential books you are going to write, okay? There's a great Russian saying, which I always butcher, and I was on Google Translate. I must have listened to this thing 30 times, and now I still can't get it right. It's Polonia Doom krolikami na obede. If any of you speak Russian, you can stop laughing. But the saying is great. It's chase 2 rabbits, get no dinner, right? If you're trying to do 2 books at once, you aren't going to eat. If you pick your book, you're going to be good, okay? So let's go pick it. Questions for now?